Hi everybody, I'm back. I have a friend at work. She's in charge of the activities department. They put activities for the residents so that they can, I don't know, go to Gaddy's Pizza, things like that. And she has asked that I give her some paintings and things that they can raffle off to make money for the activities department. And I said, sure, okay, I can do that. So I'm going to do a little pinstripe thing for her here. Now normally I would just start painting, but in this particular case I have a pattern in mind that I want to do, so I drew it out on this little 8x10 black board, and I'm going to pinstripe on that, and hopefully it comes out nice. Hopefully she'll make a decent amount of money on it, that they can do something. Anyway, pinstripe paint. Pinstripe paint is an oil-based paint. It's actually an oil-based sign paint. I personally use one-shot paint. Now you could do this with your regular acrylics or oils by thinning them down a whole bunch. But I happen to have pinstripe paint, one shot, so I'm going to go ahead and use this. Pinstriping is lines. Lots of lines. Straight lines, curvy lines, broken lines, crooked lines, any kind of lines you want that go together to make a pattern, a picture, whatever. So I'm going to do this. The trick is keeping a light hand. The harder you press, the fatter your lines are going to get. I don't want fat lines on this. I want nice, light little lines. Like this. Nice, light little lines. Starting out here with some red. It's going to have all kinds of crazy colors. Now you can go online and you can look at pinstripe videos, how people pinstripe, learn how to pinstripe, etc. And what you will learn is that pinstriping, just like everything else, everybody's got their own little thing. There's the basics, of course, you know, do's and don'ts. But for the most part, how we go about doing things is how we each individually choose to go about doing things. There is not a specific set, do it like this and it will turn out like that. Because we're all different people and we all have our own little ways. We want to keep the paint nice and thin, so I'm adding a little thinner here to thin this out. Normally I would be working with my item, whichever I'm pinstriping. I would be looking down at it. My brush, of course, is set to hold a lot of paint because you drag some crazy lines sometimes. Long ones go all over the place when you're actually doing a vehicle. Unless it's a smaller vehicle, like my motorcycle. I pinstripe the heck out of my motorcycle. Like what I did with it. Although some people may not like it, that's fine, because it's not their motorcycle. Ah. Okay, I want to get this line coming across this way. Just sort of head that off like that. Bring this down into this. And let's do a curly Q. We'll go around and about with this curly Q. Now that's about as far as I can go, and then the brush gets too wide because of being up and down rather than me being over it, staring down at it. So I go part way and then I'm going to come back this way, rather than have my line get too fat and wide and do something weird and wonky on me. Because we don't like weird and wonkies, especially when we're doing it for somebody else. I'm going to do everything that I want in red, which is Quite a lot of it, actually, I'm going to be doing in red. And I'll be coming in with some other colors to highlight. Just a line down this way. And we'll do another one coming down this way. Like that. I did a pinstriped black rose on the hood of my red car, which came out pretty nice. I liked it. And then I decided I was going to do rose vines all down the sides. So I pinstriped both sides of my car in rose vines, all down the sides. And then when I got it all done, I decided I don't like that. So I took it all off. It took me 3 days to pinstripe the thing, 4 days to get it all off. Thank God it hadn't set, because if it had set, it would have taken me much longer to get everything off. Come down here, and I want to thicken this up a little bit. I feel like having a little thicker line coming down here. Okay, so that's that line. Let's see, I want to have this here squiggly do coming around. So we're going to do this here squiggly do coming around. This is a real small painting with a lot going on in it. So I want to be careful not to get my lines too awfully heavy, because then rather than being a cute little picture, it will be a blob, in my opinion. Like that one there is a little bit heavy, but I have other plans for it, so I'm not worried about that. Okay, let's come down this way. And then I'll bring one more coming out this way. Like that. Okay, then let's see. I got some circly doilies coming out here. This is a lot easier to draw with a chalk pen than it was with paint, but that's okay. Start here and come up. And just go around like that. Change my angle. When you are above something working down, as opposed to being in front of something working right straight out in front of you, it's a whole different ball game. Let's bring this out this way, like that, and doopy end there. Load up my brush again. Actually, there's a lot of paint on my brush. It's just that it's back farther in the bristles. The length of a pinstripe brush, you load this whole part with paint. And as you're working down, gravity is going to feed the paint down. But since I'm working like this, gravity's not feeding it, and I'm just using the paint off the end. So I gotta periodically stop and drag this paint back down into this part here. Okay, now let's drag this out. Make a leafy dooter there. And bring the leafy dooter out that way. And then this one, bring the leafy dooter around and out. And blend into that one. There. Alrighty. That looks like a fair amount of red. I want to bring this one a little thicker. Like that. Because that's like the center focal of the entire thing. So I want it to be a little more substantial, I guess is the word for it. I'm not particularly good with expressing myself when I'm talking on the camera, because I'm not exactly comfortable with talking on the camera yet, so I'll get there one day. Alright. This is probably my favorite pinstripe brush. I've got a lot of them. Sword liners and MAC brushes and oh gosh, just all kinds. This here is a Kafta brush. It's got a little short handle which fits in my hand just nicely, and I use it a lot. I really like it. Okay, shake this up a little bit. I take my one-shot paint and put it into these plastic bottles, and that way I don't get as much waste from skimming, because they will get skimmy on the top. I want to show you just how thin this paint is, but it's difficult to do. What I've got over here, my palette is basically a magazine page with the shiny sort of color, shiny coating on it, and that's what I'm using as a palette. But this, we'll put this in this cup. Can you see how thin this paint is? It just runs and flows. It's not as thin as ink, but it's fairly thin. Okay, we are going to do some blue here because we can. Roll your brush through the paint so that it comes to a nice point. A little nicer point than that. Okay. Now this paint isn't dry yet, but I can go over it without having a lot of bleed through. It does dry relatively quickly. In maybe 2 hours. This is going to be dry to the touch. Since it's on canvas, it's going to dry a lot faster than if I was painting on a car or truck or something like that. But on canvas, it'll dry faster. Okay, I want to add a little blue into here. So I'm just going to come down along that, like so. Get a little blue highlight over here. Like about so. That's okay. I'll get it. I'll get it. I'll get it. Alrighty. I think that's enough blue. Another color, another color, another color. Yellow. Yellow onto here. And let's load up the brush with yellow. The tricky part is getting the paint thick enough, but not too thick and not too thin. You know, it's one of those, gotta get it, but gotta get it just right. Let's put a little yellow down in here. Ooh, I like that. Red, blue, and yellow. Alrighty then. So, I've got my blue, my yellow, my red. Let's do a little white. Shake them up. For whatever reason, white is thinner coming out of the can than anything else. So when you pour it up, you always get more than what you intended. And you say, oig, why did I pour up all that paint? Well, because you did, that's why. Alrighty, now down here on the very inner edges of these little thingamabobber thingies, I'm going to put some white. So they go white to yellow to blue. There. Alrighty, dighty. I do believe. See, the hardest part with any kind of painting, it doesn't matter whether you're doing pinstriping, whether you're doing landscape or a portrait or whatever, the hardest part is knowing when to quit. I would keep picking on this for, I don't know how long I would keep picking on this, but I would keep picking on this till all holy heck froze over. And then I'd probably look at it and say, nah, it's too much. I don't want all that. And toss it on the side, paint over it later on when I had time. But let me stand up and look. Yes, I think that is what I want. Let me get a shot of that with my other camera here that I can put on the website so you can perhaps see it a little better. Alrighty. I think that did it. No, you have to have it in picture mode, Valerie. You know, I'm not really a camera person, but I'll get there. Just everybody have patience with me and I will get there. Alrighty. Well, I thank you for your time. Have a wonderful day and paint happy, everybody. Paint very happy at all times. Thank you.